The Final Frontier of Financial Sovereignty, Choosing Your Own Store of Value. Introduction. In the unfolding drama of 21st century finance, no right may prove more consequential or more contested than the right to choose your own store of value. Amid inflationary shocks, monetary mismanagement, and rising distrust in institutions, individuals and corporations alike are exploring alternatives to state-issued currencies. From Bitcoin to tokenized gold, from dollar stablecoins to decentralized treasury tools, the power to preserve purchasing power is decentralizing, and with it, the very foundation of monetary sovereignty is shifting. At the heart of this transformation is a simple but revolutionary idea: that the final frontier of financial sovereignty is not your ability to spend, but your freedom to save, to determine what asset holds your wealth over time. When the state begins dictating how and in what you must store value, it crosses a line from stewardship into coercion. This line, increasingly, is where legitimacy is tested and often lost. Section 2. Historical context. Throughout history, nation-states have used their monopoly over currency issuance to guide and often compel public behavior. Legal tender laws ensured that only state-approved money could settle debts or taxes, pushing alternative forms like gold, silver, or barter systems to the fringe. But whenever monetary policy failed, through hyperinflation, war, or corruption, people instinctively fled to safer assets. Whether burying gold coins, hoarding foreign currency, or fleeing across borders with diamonds sewn into clothing, citizens have always known that the power to preserve wealth is inseparable from the power to survive. In recent decades, however, the centralization of finance has reached unprecedented levels. Most people hold savings in bank accounts, pensions, or government bonds, all of which are subject to capital controls, inflationary erosion, or outright seizure. But that dependency is breaking. Section 3. The shift toward outside money. A new category of value is rising: outside money. Unlike bank deposits, inside money, which are liabilities of an institution, outside money exists without counterparty risk. Gold is the oldest example. Bitcoin is the newest. Outside money is not only durable and scarce, it's increasingly digital, self-custodied, and programmable. This gives individuals and businesses the power to opt out of monetary systems they don't trust. A hardware wallet storing Bitcoin or tokenized gold is functionally beyond the reach of most governments and regulators. It is financial sovereignty in your pocket. Wallets now serve as both bank accounts and historical records. They track not just your assets, but your provenance, your journey in the new digital economy. And for many, this growing ledger of participation is as important as the balance itself. Section 4. The political and economic stakes. This freedom is not without political consequence. Governments thrive on control, particularly over money. To allow citizens to flee into assets they cannot monitor, tax, or inflate is to admit a loss of authority. It is no surprise, then, that regulators in many jurisdictions are attempting to push individuals towards safe alternatives. Bitcoin ETFs held by institutions like BlackRock or Fidelity, for instance, or gold exposure via financial instruments rather than physical or tokenized ownership. The illusion of choice masks a very real intent: to keep capital within reach. If you self-custody Bitcoin, you are free. If you buy Bitcoin through a brokerage, you are back under indirect state influence. The same applies to stablecoins. Governments may tolerate them, so long as they're issued by regulated entities, backed by government debt, and integrated into existing surveillance systems. But peer-to-peer, censorship-resistant stablecoins? That's a different beast altogether. This content is brought to you by Bobby Giggs. Promote your brand here and reach a wide audience across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Follow the links in the description to get started. Section 5. Optionality as a guardrail against tyranny. Freedom of savings is not a fringe concern, it's a systemic safeguard. Consider El Salvador's Bitcoin experiment. Though initially criticized, it highlighted the potential for financial autonomy at a national level. The Chivo wallet allowed automatic conversion to USD at point of sale, preserving legal tender integrity while giving individuals the freedom to hold Bitcoin as a reserve. In China, citizens are quietly encouraged to accumulate gold, especially as trust in real estate evaporates. In Japan, companies like Metaplanet are adopting Bitcoin as a corporate reserve strategy, mirroring MicroStrategy in the US, as a hedge against stagnant yields and long-term monetary decay. What these examples show is this: when the public has options, the state is forced into discipline. Section 6. The role of stablecoins and tokenized assets. Stablecoins are a unique bridge between the legacy system and the new one. Backed by short-term treasuries and integrated with mobile wallets, they offer yield and utility without the full volatility of crypto. But their adoption is forcing uncomfortable questions. What happens when $100 billion or more flows into stablecoins, bypassing commercial banks and forcing governments to compete for deposits directly via treasury issuance? And what happens when tokenized gold offers a better yield than fiat currencies with negative real rates? These new digital wrappers are giving age-old assets wings. Tokenized gold, for instance, takes the most trusted SOV in history and makes it permissionless and borderless. Combined with DeFi, it becomes a formidable competitor to fiat savings accounts and an existential challenge to monetary policy. Section 7. The limits of government control. Despite fears, few governments will succeed in outlawing alternative SOVs outright. Even in authoritarian regimes, the optics of banning gold or Bitcoin are politically risky. In democracies, such a move would likely provoke legal battles or electoral backlash. As a result, most states settle for trying to co-opt rather than crush. They issue warnings, they delay licenses, they steer users towards safe custodians. But they know the tide is turning. The very existence of financial escape hatches limits how far a government can push its fiscal or monetary agenda. And the more accessible those escape hatches become, the more responsive policy must be. Section 8. Conclusion. The ability to choose your own store of value is no longer a theoretical right, it is a practical necessity. In a world where trust in governments, banks, and institutions is eroding, the power to preserve wealth outside their reach is a lifeline. Whether through Bitcoin, tokenized gold, or yield-bearing stablecoins, individuals now have tools to opt out. And in doing so, they impose discipline on the system itself. This is the final frontier of financial sovereignty, not just to earn or spend as you wish, but to save in what you believe. And in that freedom lies a quieter revolution, one wallet at a time.